The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Good morning again. Welcome to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining me. As always, please don't forget to drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are new around here, and don't forget to share it onto your social media platforms, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this particular endeavor. And if adult language should offend you, then after you've liked and subscribed to the channel, you might want to disappear, because I'm not going to control myself. If I want to say the odd curse word, it's going to come out. I don't mean to offend people, but if it does, just do yourself a favour and fuck off. Job done. Premier League, match day 14 of 38. West Ham United versus Crystal Palace at London Stadium. Keep your eye on the ticker at the bottom. It will intermittently change with certain little facts regarding the two combatants that will be taking to the field tomorrow afternoon, such as the officials. There you go. There's the first one. Let's have a look who's in the live chat just real quick. Rob Singleton, twice in one morning. Don't know if I can contain myself. Hello, mate. Thanks for coming along. Do appreciate it. Serif Happy Hammer, how you doing? Hi, Rob and chat. Hoping for a successful result and an improved performance against the Eagles. Well, we'll see. I mean, yeah, improved performance. Yeah. I mean, we've just done obviously the one about back at Topola, and if anyone saw the thumbnail, they'll know straight away from looking at the thumbnail what my thoughts were on that particular performance. But there you go. Now, let's get into it. As unfortunately, you'll see that Ben isn't around. He couldn't make it today, so I'm just going to have to crack on by myself. So, and you guys, please feel free to get involved as well, and I'll have the presentation up momentarily. So, thoughts on the opposition this season? Well, Roy Hodgson's back in the building. He was obviously the manager before. They moved into a different direction with Patrick Vieira in charge. It seemed to initially be going quite well, and then it hit the buffers a little bit, and then they shipped him off, and then brought back Roy Hodgson. And in the intervening time, he had a little spell as the manager of Watford, and Watford ended up going down. I don't think you can really pin the blame too much on Roy Hodgson for that. I think by the time he walked in, they were already sort of pretty much down. So he was just firefighting, really. But he's come in, and obviously he managed to steer them through the choppy waters. And they've started this season, and well, last week they got beat by Luton. Luton, who I think is pretty well established, not really all that. And I don't mean to be funny to Luton fans. The fact that they're in the Premier League is a fairy tale. It's a minor miracle in and of itself. But Crystal Palace got beat by Luton. Now, I'd say that's a little bit of a concern. I don't think they're going to be in any trouble this season as far as relegation's concerned, because I fundamentally think there will be 3 teams worse than them over a 38-game Premier League season. Luton happened to be one of them, despite the fact that Palace lost at Kenilworth Road the other week. But I do think that they're going to be a team that I think is probably going to have the odd result here and there, which you'll look and go, oh, that's quite good. But then they'll have just as many results where they turn around and sort of lose a game that you think they really should have won, like Luton the other week. So I think they're going to be a team that really doesn't do much. They're just making up the numbers, but they'll give the occasional opponent a bloody nose, and it may even be they do it to us tomorrow. But yeah, they're functional. They're sort of fairly sort of aesthetic. They do the job they need to do. They're not going to be any danger under Roy Hodgson. Who is our opposition's key player? Well, I'll tell you what. I will give you a steer on that. Let me just add this to the. Hold on. Press that button. Right. So let me just remove that. Just bear with me. Right. So I'm going to. This is a little bit sort of jumbled up because I've been rushing around trying to get the two streams back to back organized and all of the bits and pieces. As you can probably appreciate, it's a little bit of a task on me, Jack Jones. So I'm going to go for the opposition key player and who is our key player as well in this one particular bit. And please feel free to get involved. Now, these are the stats for the two players that I suspect will be coming into direct conflict tomorrow, and their battle will be a key part of the outcome tomorrow, I believe. Probably what will actually happen is that neither of them will be in the squad, and I'll look like a complete dick. But there you go. But on the West Ham side of things, so in the claret and blue corner, the player that I believe is going to be key to our chances has played 12 appearances in the Premier League this season with 1 assist, 0 goals, however. He's been part of a team that's kept 1 clean sheet. Yeah, I mean, that's quite concerning, but there you go. He's been part of a team that's kept 1 clean sheet in those 12 games, has 6 yellow cards and 0 red cards, whereas in the red and blue corner, this player has had only the 2 appearances this season due to injury, but in those 2 appearances, he has managed to fashion a goal. And that's pretty much all he's done. But I do think that this guy is a key component to Crystal Palace. And the comparison is between Emerson and Michael Elise. Now, Michael Elise last season in the game at the corresponding fixture at London Stadium, you'll remember it was just before the World Cup. I think it was the penultimate game before the break, because I think the last game was Leicester. If anyone wants to correct me, that's fine. But I'm pretty sure that the Crystal Palace game was the penultimate game that we played in the Premier League before the break for the World Cup. And it was a 1-1 draw going into the last knockings of the game. And Michael Elise popped up and scored the winner. So I think, and he's a player that I've got to be honest, he excites me. When I've seen him, he seems an effervescent sort of player with pace, power, a little bit of youthful exuberance, which is probably why he'll never get into a David Moyes team, but that's another story. But he's always been a player that when I've watched him play, and he was at Reading before. Was it Reading? I'm pretty sure he was at Reading before, and he looked an exciting prospect then, and he got brought into Palace. I believe it was Vieira that brought him in. I'm fairly sure that's right. And he come in and he's done quite well. He's a young kid. He's I didn't realise. I thought he was English, but apparently he's French. So you live and learn, don't you? But yeah, I think they're the key components. I think they're, as far as the two teams is concerned tomorrow, I think they're the team. That's the key battle for me, where I think that the game could potentially be won and lost. So there, as I say, but another key component could be that fella there, because don't forget, he scored last-minute winners in the last couple of games, so he will probably have something to say about the outcome of the fixture tomorrow. But we'll wait and see what happens. I mean, unfortunately, it looks like I might not be going. things have sort of cropped up which might interfere with things. But whatever. What would be your starting 11, guys? If you was in the dugout tomorrow, what would be your starting 11? Forget what you think David Moyes himself will pick. What would be your starting 11, dear viewer? 10 of you are watching live right now on as we go going live, and there'll be some that watch latterly at this point. What would be your starting 11? Get it in the live chat, get it in the comments. What would be your starting lineup, the starting 11, and what formation would you play them? And give a little bit of reasons as maybe to why. Expand upon it. Here's where I'm at. Now, obviously, we had a lot of resting and rotating, as I said, for the Bakatopola game. Now, I don't think that hindsight being perfect vision, I don't think that that really helped. Now, I think that there's a few changes that will be made, and some of them are fairly obvious. The likes of Lucas Fabianski dropping out for Alphonse Areola. I think that's fairly cut and dried. I think another one that's pretty cut and dried is at Mavropanos will probably be the one that makes way for the captain, Kurt Zouma, to resume his captaincy duties. But the thing is, it's like, could again maybe drop out and it be Zouma and Mavropanos that sort of have the centre-back partnership. But I do think that Zouma will come back in. Now, did Divine Mubama do enough to keep a starting berth? Don't know. To be honest, I don't think he was helped by his teammates and the lack of intensity playing the ball forward and involving him. So I don't think that was entirely his fault the other night, I got to say. So I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater as far as Divine Mubama's concerned. Now, we obviously know that Michail Antonio, his knee injury, he's out. Now, Jared Bowen also has a knee injury. Now, I believe he's going to be assessed ahead of the kickoff. He's missed the last 2 matches. Now, David Moyes also said, as far as the omissions of the squad, not just from the starting 11 in the Bakatopola game, the likes of Vladimir Kufau, Edson Alvarez, and Mohamed Kudus. And he didn't name names as such, but he mentioned that there were players left out of the squad due to what he said was viruses and flu-like symptoms. Now, that being the case, are those 3 players the players that he was talking about? Are they going to be back for the game tomorrow? A very good question. I'd like to think that those 3 would come straight back in. I'd like to think that they will be good to go. But it will be interesting to see if they're in the squad, if they're in the starting 11. We'll wait and see. But I think Kufau is going to play. I think Alvarez is going to play. I think Kudus is going to play. If they're 80, 90% fit, they'll play. So my 11 would be Areola in goal. I'd like to go with a 4-3-3, to be honest with you, if it was me. There's actually, I actually quite like the 3-5-2 formation, proper wing backs, not a 5-3-2, a 3-5-2, like Harry used to play back in the day when he was West Ham manager. I think I'd like to go back 4, Kufau right, Emerson left, centre-back pairing. If it was me, do you know what? I'd like to see more of Mavropanos in Premier League action. I think we need to see if he can cope properly. I think he'd be all right. So I'd probably drop out. I'd probably leave Zouma on the bench, I think I'd be tempted to leave Zouma on the bench and leave Mavropanos on the gear and see how that partnership is going to develop. I mean, they got a clean sheet against Bakatopola. All right, you could turn around and say they didn't have to do much, but they kept a clean sheet. So maybe keep Zouma on the bench. Listen, December's going to be a busy month. You can. He's not going to play 2 games in a week. Let's be completely honest. And there's plenty of football coming up. He shouldn't be fearful if he's left out of this one. He shouldn't be fearful that his future's up for grabs. It might be. I mean, there's a lot of talk about him and Saudi, but we'll wait and see what develops on that one. But I think if it was me, and I'm not saying, like I say, this is not what do I think David Moyes will pick. It's what I would pick and what you would pick. And I'll get into that in a minute. If you guys are putting in stuff in the comment section, please crack on. So Alphonse Areola, Kufal right, Emerson left, Mavropanos and Aguirre as the centre-back pairing. I think I'd put Edson Alvarez as a dedicated CDM, and then I'd have two central midfielders. Now, I think I'd probably lean towards... I'd probably lean towards Thomas Soucek, and it's between Paquetá and Ward-Prowse, isn't it? I think for what he gives us during open play, I think it would be Paquetá. I know that you're then going to lose something from the set pieces, but I think I would probably put Bowen on set piece duty, which probably gives you a clue that I would put Bowen in one of the front three positions. But I don't necessarily know where at the minute. I'm just sort of rolling through it in my head. But I would probably drop out Ward-Prowse at the minute. You can't drop Thomas Soucek, not with what he's managed to do in the last couple of games. He's popped up with last-minute winners. He's got wins when we probably should have got draws at best. And he's done it at a time in the game when the opposition have a very limited amount of time to respond. So he's scoring at the right time. So you can't drop him out. And I know he will have his distractors because he's not very mobile. His passing range is not the best. His accuracy is not the best as far as short range passing is concerned. But fundamentally, he is getting on the end of moves, which then translate into goals at a stage of the game, which means that we pick up the result. So you have to play him. Ward-Prowse has dropped off a bit as far as his overall play is concerned, in my opinion. I would bring him on from the bench. I think he would be a useful weapon to have. And like I say, again, it's not, oh, you've been dropped because you're shit. It's, look, there's a lot of football coming up in December. That's the way it has to be sold to the players that would drop out. You know, we're going to use the squad properly. This would be if I was the manager. Now, it might not happen with David Moyes. It probably won't. I'm just saying, if I was the manager, this is how I would sell it to the players that are not going to make the starting 11. There's plenty of football coming up. I want to make sure that you're primed and you're ready to go and you're at your peak throughout. And it might mean that I have to sort of manage your sort of game time. So that's the midfield three. Now, again, this is if it was me. I think I'd be inclined to go. I think I'd like to see a front three of Kudus through the middle. No, Kudus through the middle. Do you know what? Right, I'll tell you what. I'm sort of rolling it through in my head. There's a front three that I'd like to see. And with regret, Divine Mubama would drop out. Because I think front three for me would have to be in some configuration. And it actually might be that these three could float around and interchange and really bamboozle their back line with their sort of interchanging and movement and trickery and pace. Pace is the key here. And this is the three that I would go for. I would go Bowen, Kudus, Cornet. I think Cornet came on against Bakatopola. He got the assist. And I actually was quite impressed with what I saw. Yes, it was a cameo. Yes, they weren't the greatest of opposition. But that's not his fault. He can only play against what he's got in front of him. So for me, I think I'd like to see that pace of Cornet, Kudus, and Bowen as the front three. And I would be setting it up and saying, right, I'm not saying go route one. I'm not saying go long ball. But look, we need to try and get, if we're going to play counter-attacking football, then let's try and get the ball from back to front, behind their back line as often as possible, early, so that those three have got maximum room in which to run onto and cause a problem and really stretch their back line. We didn't do that against Bakatopola. I don't think we're doing that often enough in other games that have preceded that. But that's what I'd be doing. Now, do I think David Moyes will? Probably not. Probably not. He'll probably go with a lone striker again. And it will probably be a very pedestrian, singular paced attack, which is rather regrettable. And I know that people could turn around and say, is that not the mark of a good team? A team that plays badly and wins? Maybe. But I don't know. It's a little bit boring. It really is. Let's get into the team news as far as Crystal Palace is concerned as well. I mean, obviously, I've said that we've got the players we know's out in Michail Antonio. Bowen's going to be assessed ahead of kickoff for having missed the last two matches. My suspicion is he will play. Kufau, Alvarez, Mohamed Kudus look like they're going to probably be available again to David Moyes. So the players that will drop out, obviously, the likes of Johnson, the likes of Cresswell, etc., Fabianski, Mubama, they're probably going to be the sacrificial lambs. Palace. So Eberechi Eze, who is on the thumbnail, he was forced off with an ankle injury in the defeat at Luton. Doesn't look like he's actually going to be involved. So I probably should have worked that out before I did the thumbnail, but forgive me. It is what it is. Czech Decore also got an Achilles injury in the same match. Looks like they're both going to be not involved tomorrow. They've got a little bit of an injury crisis at the minute. You've got Dean Henderson. I apologise if I'm going to pronounce this name wrong. Jesseron Raksaki. They've got thigh injuries. Rob Holding, who's the ex-Arsenal player, got an ankle injury. And our former player, James Tompkins, he's got a calf issue. He is doubtful. So the players that will probably come in, you've got Will Hughes, who will come in, and he will probably be in central midfield alongside Jefferson Lerma. Jordan Ayew could take the place of Eberechi Eze. And so, yeah, I think that you've got a little bit of moving around there that Roy Hodgson's going to have to do out of a necessity. Let's have a little look into the comments. Let's have a little look and see what you guys have been saying while I've been waffling on. Right. So Mark says, my side for tomorrow, Areola, Kufau, Mavropanos, Aguirre, Emerson, Alvarez, Paquetá, Souček, Kudus, Bowen, Benrahma. Now, I've literally just seen that, Mark. And obviously, you know the team that I've now selected, and it is almost identical, other than you've gone Benrahma, I've gone Cornet. But other than that, we're on the same page, mate. That is absolutely outstanding. Would I give Cornet a game? Well, now you know the answer, Mr. Singleton. Yes, I would. I'd give him a go. But that's me. And Mark's also gone 4-3-3. No James Ward-Prowse. Bowen can take the corners. Yes. We must be brothers from another mother. We must have been. There must be some sort of telepathy going on there. Honestly, I never read your comments. I was waffling away. I was completely oblivious. Stephen, hope you're well, mate. He's gone. Areola, Kufau, Mavropanos, Aguirre, Emerson, Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse, Souček, Paquetá, Kudus, Bowen. Mark says Cornet first sub if we are struggling to score. Yeah, in about the 81st minute, probably. If Bowen's not fit, I would try Cornet or Mubama. But I suspect that Moyes will probably go with Danny Ings in that situation. And Stephen also says I'd go with Mav for the mobility instead of Zuma. Yeah, as I say, it's that, and it's also a couple of other things for me. I want to see more of Mavropanos in the Premier League to see, okay, how good is he? And not just that, but Zuma can't play sort of like the amount of games. He's not going to be ever present for the month of December. He's just not. He's incapable. So you need to rest and rotate and manage it, as far as I'm concerned. But that's just my opinion. I'm not managing West Ham United. He is. Palace got pace up front, so no Zuma for this one. Another good point you make there, Mark. Very good. Darren, hope you're well. Evening, Rob, and all the chat. Hopefully no quiz tonight as I'm going out with my better half. Come on, you Irons. Rani, welcome along. If Zuma don't play 2 games a week, do you prefer him against Palace or Spuds? No way Moyes doesn't play him in at least one of them. Yeah, I think he'll come back for Spurs. If it was me, I would bring him back for Spurs. I mean, it may well be that, I don't know. How is Moyes going to do it? as I say, you can't play him 2 games in a week. We'll wait and see. Stephen says that he'd play in midweek. I think we're probably on the same page as far as that's concerned. East side, hope you're well. Bowen, Kudus, Alvarez rule out massive losses. Not necessarily. As far as Bowen's concerned, he's going to be assessed ahead of the match, what I'm hearing. And as far as the Kudus and Alvarez is concerned, there's every possibility they come back. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would be very surprised, East side, if all 3 of those were out. I really would. Rani says JWP being misused. That's why he's dropped off, in my opinion. There is a case for that. There is a possibility you might be onto something. Kudus and Alvarez real, Bowen injured. As I say, the virus and flu-like symptoms is what he said. David Moyes ahead of the game against Bacca Topola. He didn't name who, but he did say about there was a couple of players that didn't travel, virus and flu-like sort of symptoms, and obviously we know the players that didn't make it. So you put 2 and 2 together. Look, I don't think all 3 of them are going to miss out. I really don't. Bowen is on the way back, and as I say, you guys are sort of coming at it from different angles. Look, we'll find out an hour before kickoff. We really will. How's my brother? He is absolutely fine. We are actually going to be meeting up in a little pub, sort of like north central London, little family gathering. So he's fine. He's just very busy at the minute. He's just really, really busy with family and work and all that. So, there's no problem as such. It's just life gets in the way sometimes. So there. I mean, look, we'll lose this. We don't actually have a great record against Crystal Palace. If you look into it, we've got a really poor record against Crystal Palace. It's got to change at some time. It really has to change at some time. But they are they're becoming something of a bogey side. Right. Okay. I'm going to go back to the presentation. Just some more information for you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll go full screen with it and I'll get rid of that banner along the bottom just for now. So that's West Ham versus Crystal Palace in the Premier League era. We've played 24 games between us. We have a slight advantage, but Palace, it's only 1 game in it. Goals scored, 43-37 to our advantage. Penalties won, penalties scored. They have the advantage there. Clean sheets, only 3 apiece. Yellow cards, they've got the advantage or disadvantage, whatever way. They've got less yellow cards. I would say that's an advantage. And as far as the red cards are concerned, they're absolutely dead level. If we also look at the Premier League standings as things are right now, we are currently 9th in the Premier League, 13 played, a goal difference of 0 with 20 points. They are in 13th. 5 points further back with a -5 goal difference. As far as our previous meetings are concerned, last season we played in the Premier League at Selhurst Park. It was an exciting game and we came out the wrong side of it, sadly, by the scoreline of 4-3. And then, obviously, as I said, the game that was shortly before the World Cup, where we were 1-1 going into the last knockings of the match. And then up popped Michael Elise to put the ball past Lucas Fabianski. And the Eagles went away with all 3 points. If we look at our recent record in the Premier League only, you can see there, obviously, the previous game, Burnley, Nottingham Forest, both wins. Both shit houses, if I'm being honest. We really were fortunate there, I believe. The Brentford game, 3-2 defeat away from home. Then we've obviously got the 1-0 reverse at London Stadium against Everton. And then the absolute mauling that we took at Villa Park by a scoreline of 4-1. So we've got there 3 defeats, 2 wins, no draws in our previous 5 Premier League fixtures. And as for Palace, as I say, they lost their last one against Luton 2-1. They also were beat at home by Everton 3-2. They did manage to pick up a win away at Burnley, but I think most people are going to do that this season, regrettably. Sorry, Dan, but it is what it is. I think you're going to have to get used to it this season. It's going to be a bit of a long, hard season for you, mate. And then you've also got in there, they went and lost against Tottenham when Tottenham were playing well before they went all Spursy. And obviously Newcastle smashed them up 4-0. So you look there, what have you got? You got 1, 2, 3, 4 defeats and 1 victory for Crystal Palace in the previous 5 Premier League fixtures. So they're really not any great shakes as far as that's concerned. So let's hang on. Where am I? Press the right button, Gatesy. Press the right button. It might help you out a little bit. Where did we get to with the ticker? Okay, right. So Sharky comes in and says there are normally lots of goals scored in this fixture. Not sure that will be the case tomorrow. I'm not backing us to keep a clean sheet, Sharky. That's for sure. I'm really not. Stephen says I'm hoping and wishing for an exciting game due to bloody rail replacements again, but expecting a dull one. Is there not more rail strikes? When are they going to fucking sort this out? This has been going on for long enough. This is crazy. It's just nuts, mate. Absolutely nuts. Right. Okay. So let me just get the. I'm a little bit all over the place at the minute. You might have twigged, but say I've just been trying to sort out all the bits and pieces. So that was the starting 11. Let's do score predictions now, guys, and please get stuck into this. Give us score predictions. Give us goal scorers. Now, as I say, my prediction is that we are not going to keep a clean sheet. I just don't see us keeping a clean sheet. I really don't. I don't see tomorrow being a particularly entertaining game. And I guess I'm saying that because I've become kind of conditioned into witnessing this turgid, dross, anti-football that I've witnessed in recent times. But we've won the last 4. And as I say, taking a step back and just sort of the aesthetics of what we're witnessing. Let's just box that up. Let's park it and let's just move that over there. We've won our last 4 in all competitions. We've not played very well, but we've won the games. And that is usually said to be the marker of a good team. When you can play badly and win nonetheless. Now, it is painful to watch and sort of I'd like it to be a little bit more exciting sometimes for the money that I pay. But I think that we're going to probably have to put up with it again tomorrow. I think that we're probably going to see another match where it's very, very frustrating and there'll probably be a lot of anger directed towards David Moyes and during the game and subsequently. Probably a lot of it will come from this direction as well. So I can't say that it's going to be other people necessarily. I may well be joining in with that. But the funny thing is, it will probably be we'll win the game and it will probably be a 90-minute. It's the default pattern. I've now become conditioned into sort of like believing we're going to play crap. We're going to concede a goal just the other side of half time. And we're going to pop up with a late Thomas Souček winner. This is just sort of like how I see things playing out. And I could be wrong. But I think we're going to win this 2-1. And I think it's going to be Thomas Souček again. I think Thomas Souček is going to be the guy that not so long ago we was all saying, he's a fucking Czechoslovakian lamppost. He's absolutely hopeless. Get rid of him. Sack him off. How the fuck was this a player that was linked to Barcelona a short time ago for about 60 million or 80 million or whatever it was to Bayern Munich, this, that, and the other? He's a fucking shadow of himself. And then he's reinvented himself this season. He really has. And now he's a key component. You absolutely can't do without him. Yes, he's got his deficiencies, but I think what he can bring to the table in terms of a contribution that goes and changes a match literally like that in our advantage. I don't think you can leave him out at the minute. I really don't. So I think it's going to be a 2-1 win. I think we're going to win this 2-1. As I say, I'm not going to say it's going to be champagne football. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy on the eye. I'm not going to say that there's going to still be people coming away from the ground muttering and groaning about what they've witnessed, and I will be one of them very likely if this is the way the game pans out. But when you sort of like you sleep on it and you look at the table, I mean, look, if we can't drop down, right? Even if we lost we can't drop down because I think Chelsea are 4 points back from us. So we cannot drop any lower on the back once game is 14 is finished of the Premier League. Chelsea are on 16. Just had a look. They're in 10th place. They're on 16. So even if Chelsea won, and I believe they've got Brighton, who are the team that's immediately above us. So I guess we're probably, I've just looked. So it's Chelsea and Brighton are playing each other, and they're the two teams that sort of like we're the meat in the sandwich, if you will. So I guess really what we want there probably is, what would we probably favour? A Chelsea-Brighton draw, or are we going a Chelsea win and we win as well, because then we would jump up to 8th? I guess, I think probably thinking about it, we'd probably want Chelsea to beat Brighton and then for us to do the business against Palace, because then we would go up, we would have 23 points. I mean, if Newcastle got beat by Man United, which is not an unrealistic prospect, I guess, we would have the same amount of points as Newcastle. But unless there's going to be a goal swing take place in that one match of 17 goals in our favour, then we're not going to go up to 7th. So the best we can really achieve is to go up to 8th, which, like I say, if we play an absolutely shit game of football and come away with a win some way, somehow, and we find ourselves in 8th place in the Premier League, in the next stage of the Europa League, whatever that is, whether that's a playoff round or whether that's the last 16, but we're out of the group stage. And we've got a quarter-final to come of the League Cup. The FA Cup is yet to start. And you do sort of sit there and go, well, are things as bad as we think they are? Is it a case of glass half full as opposed to glass half empty? I don't know. Maybe not. Let's have a little look, see what you guys are saying. Stephen says, hoping 2-2 or 3-2 to us, but expecting a 1-all with a last-minute equaliser. Interesting. Mark says, I'm going 1-0 with Areola playing a blinder and Kudus scoring late. Sharky says he's gone with 1-1 between the two combatants tomorrow. And Rani says players in Souček's mould have been cult heroes at West Ham, yet he regularly gets lambasted. Seems odd sometimes. I think, like I say, a lot of that came because he was asked to play in a role that didn't get the best out of him because it was pandering to Declan Rice. And I think that a lot of people probably didn't. I did. I kind of saw what was going on, but I still sort of thought that, something needed to change, and whether it was dropping Souček or whether it was telling Rice, look, you will fucking sit and you will do your job. You're getting paid. You're an employee. You do as you're told until you're no longer an employee. Maybe that's what should have happened, but then possibly we wouldn't have got 105 million quid for him as he walked out the door, because he wouldn't have looked as good as he did. I don't know. But now he doesn't have that particular millstone around his neck. He doesn't have that particular disadvantage. He's looking so much better for it. And look, he's never going to be prime Kevin De Bruyne, is he? He's not that type of player, but he's getting into forward positions. He's getting on the end of moves, and he's turning draws into wins. So that's pretty much it, But yeah, I'm reasonably optimistic. I think that a 2-1 win with Thomas Souček getting a late, like within the last 5 minutes of the 90, I reckon. This is a little bit of Mystic Rob coming out, the winner of the National Lottery will have skin. Was it Septic Peg, wasn't it? Brian Connolly. That was the one. I remember that. But I'm going a 2-1 home win. I'm going Thomas Souček to get the winner within the last 5 minutes of the 90. I think we concede a goal the other side of half-time, because David Moyes will sort of give them their half-time sort of flask of Horlicks, give them their ketamine sandwiches, sing them a lullaby, tuck them in, and then the referee will knock on the door and say, come on, lads, second half. And they'll be like, what's going on? But I think we'll have enough. I think we'll have enough to do them. I don't think Palace are, that good. If they can get beat by Luton, don't think they're all that. Eric Johns just jumped in. Thomas Souček's last 2 goals. Not many people have the technique to score those goals. Listen, that's a great point. I think that obviously the goal against Topola, the goal against Burnley, they were executed very well. And like I say, you know, his passing ability, his mobility, sometimes you can lay those accusations against him. But yeah, I mean, look, he turns draws into wins, and that's a good thing. Mark, thanks, mate. Thanks for coming along. I don't know whether I'm going or not. I'm still umming and ahhing. There's a couple of things bubbling away, so maybe I will, maybe I won't. Darren's gone 3-1 to the Irons, waving away. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it from me, guys. I'm sort of, you know, there's not really much to say as far as I'm concerned. But thanks for joining me, guys, and I hope you found it informative. I hope you liked the presentation that I knocked up. It was a little bit cobbled together because I've just had so much on my plate sort of this week. It's just been really, really busy with work and family stuff. So I hope you appreciate that what I've done is the best that I could with the limited time I could sort of cobble it together. So, you know, as I say, I do hope you sort of like it was something you found reasonably informative and useful for you guys to know. Rani just comes in there, says, one positive for us at the moment is that we're scoring late goals, always in the game when you've got that attribute. Fantastic. Stephen says, well done. Buy you a beer if you come down tomorrow. As I say, I'll if I'm down, I'll be down the boats at some point. So please come up and say hello if you do. And if I don't, then, you know, it is what it is. But guys, thanks for joining me. And as I always implore you to do, please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and hit the bell icon for alerts of new content. Don't forget to click all. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this particular matter. And the last thing I'm going to say before I disappear, well, last 2 things I'm going to say is, come on, you Irons. Don't forget Iron supporting food banks.
The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron supporting food banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.